please take your seats? Thank you. Welcome to the Jazz at Lincoln Center Gala 2014. Please welcome Billy Crystal.
Again. Hello again. How are you? How you doing? Are we gonna wait for all of these people too? Man, oh man, this looks like a Knick game towards the end. How's everybody doing, all right? Okay, we're gonna have a good time. Come on down. Make believe it's festival seating. You can just sit anywhere. I'm delighted to be here. You know, it's only jazz. We can start the show with a funeral procession, and it's cool. See, I grew up in a jazz family, and if any of you have seen my show, 700 Sundays, then you know. So, thank you. So, I grew up in a jazz family. My grandfather had this little record store on 42nd Street between Lexington and 3rd, right across from the famous Chrysler Building. It was called the Commodore Music Shop. It was a tiny, like 9-foot wide store. Thank you. And it became the center of jazz here in the city, and that's where I grew up going. My dad managed a store. My uncle Milt Gabler was a legendary jazz producer, producing all of Billie Holiday's greatest hits, including the immortal Strange Fruit. Oh, do I have to start over? Okay. Man, only in jazz, if there's a funeral procession and it's cool. Isn't that something? My dad was a jazz concert producer, which meant we were broke. I grew up on Long Island, a little town called Long Beach, Long Island, where a lot of my family still lives. Our best friends were African jazz musicians, which really pissed off our neighbor, Donald Sterling. And were you booing me? What is your problem? And we forced him to sell his house, which was interesting. But it was a very interesting growing up because it was Jews and jazz. The house always smelled of brisket and bourbon. One time at a Seder, my grandmother once said to Louis Armstrong, "Louis, have you tried just coughing it up?" And later when I asked the 4 questions, when I said, "Why is this night different than all other nights?" Louis said, "It ain't, it's 10:30 and we still haven't eaten." I love the humor of jazz. I love the music, of course, all different kinds of music. But the humor of jazz is great because there's an interchange between these kind of jokes. 2 old Jews sit on a bench. We've heard this a million times, right? But it's the same with jazz musicians. So 2 jazz musicians sit on a bench. One turns to the other and goes, "Whoa." The other one goes, "I'm hip." 2 Jewish jazz musicians sit on the bench. One says to him, "Damn." The other one says, "I thought we weren't going to talk about the kids." 2 jazz musicians sit in the middle of the ocean on a small little boat. One says, "Lester, you ever seen so much water in your life?" And he says, "No, and that's just the top." Now, I'm going to be your guide throughout the evening. We're going to take a look at the history of jazz throughout this country. And actually, there's a young man who's going to close the show who's here from Indonesia that's just going to knock you out. So I got to do a little business first. I'm going to bring up the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Bob Appel.
Thank you, Billy, and welcome to the 27th Annual Jazz at Lincoln Center Gala. I'm Bob Appel, as you just heard, and I have the pleasure of serving as our chairman. It's exciting to see so many familiar faces here tonight as we gather to go through a song of the history of jazz. Our institution, fortunately, stands on the threshold of a fantastic new chapter of growth and vitality. And this particular event, this marquee event tonight, is a foundation part of our financial resources for the coming couple of years. And we're very grateful to you for your continued support of our mission, which of course is to serve this wonderful icon of American music. You will be inspired tonight by what you hear from the bandstand. I also would like to draw your inspiration from the commitment that our board leadership has shown to jazz at Lincoln Center over several centuries, over several generations. I wish it was centuries. I'd like to recognize founders, the late Ted Hammond, Gordon Davis, and Lisa Schiff. Will Gordon and Lisa please stand so we can recognize? All right, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Enough talking. Let's get to the music.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob, for whipping the crowd into a frenzy. You people here have no idea what you're missing. Jazz endures because it is both sophisticated and down home. And jazz really starts with the blues. Please welcome the Phantom of the Blues himself, Mr. Taj Mahal.
Once I lived a life of a millionaire, spending my money, babe, now I did not care. Taking my friends out for a mighty nice time. Buying bootleg liquor, good money, champagne and wine, baby, don't you know? I began to think so, though. I didn't have no money, didn't have no place to go. Well, if I ever get my hands on $1 again, I'm gonna squeeze to that eagle grin. 'Cause don't nobody want you when you down and out. In your pocket, you ain't got no penny. And your friends, well, you ain't got any. Yes, now, when you get back on your feet again, Everybody wanna be your long lost friend, babe. Now you know it's mighty strange with a out of doubt. Can't know nobody use you when you down and out. Oh, baby, I said can't nobody use you when you down and out. No, nobody use you when you're down and out. Thank you.
Taj Mahal, everybody. Taj Mahal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taj. Real name, Lester Feingold. It's actually, you didn't... Shlomo Eichkowitz. I got you. I love listening to him because I close my eyes and I can just picture Kathleen Turner. Okay. Where the hell have you been? And you come in talking. Well, that's good. That's all right. Just think of me as a nightlight. I'm having a good time. Why don't you join me? Now, Jelly Roll Morton. Jelly Roll Morton, of course, was a Creole genius from the Crescent City. He was a founding father of jazz. So please welcome the genius. He is the genius of the modern piano, Marcus Roberts, to play Jelly's King Porter Stomp. Marcus Roberts. Marcus Roberts. Man. The amazing Marcus Roberts. Wow. Starting to heat up, starting to heat up. Marcus Roberts. Wow, wow, wow. And these guys. How about these guys? That's a heavy piano. You know, in the jazz age, the whole country was dancing to one song, Red Rubber Ball by The Circle. Remember that? No. I'm talking about the Charleston, ladies and gentlemen, the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, along with Ryan Francois and his dancers. Check this out.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Blanchet. At this annual gala, Jazz at Lincoln Center honors the memory of my late husband, Ed Bradley, by awarding the Ed Bradley Award for Leadership in Jazz. The award recognizes and celebrates outstanding leaders in the field of jazz who exhibit integrity, wisdom, and a pioneering spirit. These values defined Ed, and through this award, Jazz at Lincoln Center commemorates his remarkable life by establishing a living legacy. Ed was an empathetic listener, as well as a riveting storyteller. He was a master journalist who could weave the magic of a moment into a compelling narrative. In short, he was a true jazz man. With his devotion to the music, creative ideas, and as the voice of the Peabody Award-winning Jazz at Lincoln Center radio show, Ed was integral to building this institution for America's music. Now let's hear from Wynton Marsalis about tonight's recipient.
Tonight's honoree has all the attributes Ed loved. integrity, work ethic, sense of humor, and a belief that the arts and the art of jazz can unify and change the world. So tonight, from the 60-minute studio that brought Ed Bradley into millions of homes, we honor one of our beloved board members for all he has done to preserve, grow, and celebrate jazz music. John is humble and, not surprisingly, was a reluctant honoree, but facts are stubborn things. His leadership and support is an important part of why we are all here tonight. It is our honor to present John Arnhold with the Ed Bradley Award for Leadership. John Arnhold has been a leader and advocate for jazz at Lincoln Center ever since he joined the board in 2005. John comes from a long family lineage of innovative bankers. Their triumphant history reflects tonight's theme, love, loss, and laughter. The Arnhold family was thriving in Germany when the Nazis rose to power. John's father, Henry, just a teenager, escaped to the United States and freedom. Henry said he was lucky enough to hear jazz greats like Louis Armstrong and Benny Goodman, whose rhythm of jazz carried him away. And the feeling for this music has carried on in John.
John, you are the first generation of our family born in the United States. And you and your wife are creators of your own successes. I'm of course proud of John. He is my favorite son. Obviously, he has many great qualities. For that we have to thank my late wife. Being worthy of being honored does not mean that he's completely perfect. And since, as I said, he's my favorite son, I must admit that he's actually my only son. Perhaps I could propose to adopt Winton. Then we truly have a perfect team.
John approaches his work at Jazz at Lincoln Center with dedication, joy, and thoroughness. He comes on the road frequently, and in 2010, the orchestra attended a reception at the American Academy in Berlin in the Hans Arnhold Center, where John introduced the entire ensemble from memory. Something I struggle to do, and I do it every night.
When I joined the Board of Jazz, I wanted to make a really big impact. So I nominated John Arnhold to the board. Even though at the time, John thought blues was a medical condition he contracted in childhood, John has brought intelligence, clarity, dedication, and integrity to Jazz at Lincoln Center. John's jazz joy comes from hanging with the musicians and from making sure that our education programs reach as many kids as possible. Congratulations, John. Everyone who knows you own the blues.
John's deep commitment, indomitable spirit, and generosity ensures that our work will continue for years to come.
John, Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Be practical as well as generous in your ideals, but remember to keep your feet on the ground." Well, I can think of no one that deserves this honor more than you do, because you keep Jazz at Lincoln Center's feet squarely on the ground, and I'm delighted to say congratulations and thank you.
John likes to play the role of a curmudgeon, but don't be fooled. The real John Arnhold loves people, his family, friends, his causes, and particularly Winton and jazz at Lincoln Center. He is one smart guy and a real strategic thinker. Congratulations, John.
You're the best. Congratulations.
From all of us at WNET, we congratulate John on this very special honor.
Every organization lucky enough to be touched by you, John, is infinitely better for it. My only question is how you were lured by an art form like jazz that really gets going after midnight.
John, we are thrilled that you're being honored tonight. You deserve it. You're a mensch.
We love you, John. We're so proud of you.
Congratulations, Dad.
Thank you, John!
On behalf of all of us at Jazz at Lincoln Center, John, we would like to thank you for all of your efforts You are a beautiful person.
Well, now you've heard all about him, and here's the real John. John?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, we now know that the little electric prods in your seat work. That's good. I'm normally speechless, but I would first like to thank, where's the orchestra? Can we get the orchestra, please? I'd like to thank Wynton for his kind words. I'd like to thank my family for their kind words and my friends. And the scripts were written late at night by me, but I really do appreciate them. And also everybody who's here supporting Jazz at Lincoln Center. We got a great mission. It's a great organization. Thank you all very much. So I really do need to have the orchestra in my view, please. Cue orchestra. But also getting an award in the name of Ed Bradley is very special. He was a great man, a great friend of jazz, and a great friend for many of us here in the room. So now I really would like to acknowledge the band. And this is a group of guys, no girls, guys, and they are supreme musicians. They are first-rate educators, and they're really good guys. But when I look at them, it kind of reminds me of something that Duke Ellington once said, and it really fits with this group. And what he said when asked about jazz, he said, "Jazz has always been like the kind of man you wouldn't want your daughter to associate with." I rest my case. So we here at Jazz, we touch several million people a year, both through education programs, concerts, touring. And it's kind of like the circle of life. So we're with you from the cradle to the grave, from bebop to jazz for young people, youth orchestra, essentially Ellington, concerts, Swing University, and as you saw at the beginning of the show, the second line. So we will always be there for you. I kind of feel like this is my funeral because all my friends are here. So the title of this show is Love, Loss, and Laughter. And I guess Billy got the laughter part. And I think that Wynton's got a corner on the love part. So I get the loss part. But I don't know, I kind of thought maybe I'd get the love part. But I'm sorry, Jody, but I mean, all I could think of was, how can I miss you if you don't go away? No, that's not right. No. So I came up with a couple of old lines that some of you may know, and I really want to dedicate them to my wife, Jody, because she is a rock, and a rock star, too. So yeah, the train left the station. It had 2 lights on behind. Well, the blue light was my baby, and the red light was my mind. And that's why every day I have the blues. When you see me worrying, babe, Jody, yeah, it's you I hate to lose. Thank you. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Please welcome Miss Cecile McLaurin Salvant and Erin Deal.
A tisket, a tasket, a brown and yellow basket. I sent a letter to my mommy, and on the way I dropped it. I dropped it. I dropped it. I dropped my yellow basket. A little girlie picked it up and put it in her pocket. She went trucking on down the avenue without a single thing to do. She went peck, peck, pecking all around. When she spied it on the ground, she took it, my little yellow basket. And if she doesn't bring it back, I think that I will die. A tasket, I lost my yellow basket. And if that girlie don't return it, I don't know what I'll do. Oh dear, I wonder where my basket can be. So do we, so do we, so do we, so do we, so do we. Oh gee, I wish that little girl I could see. So do we, so do we, so do we, so do we, so do we. Oh, why was I so careless with that basket of mine? That itty bitty basket was a joy of mine. A tisket, a tasket, I lost my yellow basket. Won't someone help me find my basket and make me happy again, again? Was it green? No, 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 no. Was it red? No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Just a little yellow basket. A little yellow basket.
Cecile McLaurin Salvant, Aaron Deal. That was her own interpretation of Tisket Tasket, the song that Ella Fitzgerald famous, and that was pretty great. And Aaron is the winner of the, I want to get this right, the 2011 Cole Porter Fellow in Jazz of the American Pianists, you have to get that right, Association. Now, by the mid-30s, Benny Goodman's orchestra launched the swing era, and our music now went global. And no one loved it more than the people of Paris. Now, a lot of jazz musicians from America now going to Paris, and they became expatriates, and they were living in Paris, having a new feeling for their music and new audiences, and they loved it there, like this guy. Yeah, see, what I got to Paris, man,
I loved it because every corner you could get good bread. You know what I mean? The bread was over. I don't mean the money that they paid us. I'm talking about the bread. Good bread. And there's some people there that started something that was called Hot Club de France. Le Hot Club de France. As it's known in the Bronx, Le Hot Club de France. And it was dedicated to the fortification of the music. Now, the Hot Club gave a home to the first non-American jazz genius that I ever did see. This cat wasn't a white cat. He wasn't a black cat. He was a gypsy. And his name was Django Reinhardt. He was on real, man. This was Django Unchained from the beginning. Paris was so cool, see, and I used to go in and watch Django. He hit them strings so fast and so hard. Then he brings out a cat with a violin. Now, you don't think a violin can swing, right? It could. That cat's name was Stefan Grappelli. And they formed something called the Quintet de Hot Club de France, or as it's known in the Bronx, the Hot Club de France. A jazz combo unlike anything that I had heard in my life. Can you dig that? I knew that you could. But now, our music has come full circle. So here to give us a taste of Le Jazz Hot is the greatest American protege of Stefan Grappelli. This guy is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mark O'Connor and his hot swing performing Django's Mystery Pacific. Mark O'Connor. George Bush on bass. Is that me? Take a look, take a look. President Bush, where is he? Young President Bush on bass. 1,000 points of light on that bass, man. And one of the Ritz brothers on the guitar. You guys were really cooking. Would you be that good without the hat? The hat makes him, man. Mark O'Connor, how about a hand for them? Fantastic.
Now, jazz had a profound impact of all the Broadway writers in Tin Pan Alley. Broadway writers in movies, people like Jerome Kern, Irving Berlin, George Gershwin, they mixed their old world sensibilities with now the blues and blue notes and bented notes and syncopated rhythms. No one knew this better than Harold Arlen and Johnny Mercer, who wrote Blues in the Night. So here to perform it is a legendary singer, actor. He's done everything from Porgy to Sweeney Todd to the gangster in charge, Eddie Satin, in Golden Boy. That's Norm Lewis. And he's joined by the Jazz at Lincoln Center's global music ambassador, trumpeter Dominic Farinacci. I said Farinucci in rehearsal, and they corrected me. Here they are.
Mama done told me when I was in knee pads. My mama done told me, son, a woman will sweet talk and give you the big eye. But when the sweet talking's done, a woman's a two-face, a worrisome thing that leads you to sing the blues in the night. Now the rain is falling, hear that train a-calling, woo-wee. My mama done told me, lonesome whistle blowing across the trestle. My mama done told me a woody-doo-woo-wee, a clickety-clack, an echoing back the blues in the night. The evening breeze will start the trees to crying, and the moon will hide its light. When you get the blues in the night, that mockingbird will sing the saddest kind of song. He knows things go wrong, and he's so right. To Mobile, from Memphis to St. Joe, wherever the four winds blow. I've been to some big towns and heard me some big talk, but when the big talking's done, a woman's a two-face, a worrisome thing that leads you to sing the blues in the night. Yes, my mama was right. That girl has blinded my sight. Some blues in the night.
Listen to this. It's Count Basie. Basie came east from Kansas City in 1936, bringing with it a new kind of dancing, a new kind of music, and they called it swing. And it was the coolest form of music this country had ever heard. In the hardest of time, swing dance became the national pastime, just because it was filled with love and laughter. Now, bebop was the new jazz of the 1940s. And its creators were Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker. They used to do something different with the music. They added new rhythmic arcs to jazz's swing, and they would have these musical challenges, sort of like, can you top this? So here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna listen to Dizzy Gillespie's Things to Come with Two Horns of Plenty. Wynton Marsalis and Dizzy's greatest protege and master of the Fatosphere, John Faddis. Get ready.
Thank you very much. We'd like to take this moment to thank everyone who has given their time and their voice, their direction, and their spirit, their soul to make this gala possible. Our sincere gratitude goes to Billy Crystal. He was in there editing the script, making corrections, making suggestions for music. He rehearsed harder than us. We thank you. We'd like to thank our director, Mark Bruni, for guiding us tonight. We'd like to thank all of the dancers, led by choreographer Ryan Francois, who flew here from London to be with us tonight. And we'd like to thank all of our fantastic musicians, special guests who gave their time and didn't take one penny to be here tonight, share their talent with us. Now a very special award, too, to announce a new one. You can go up. That's teleprompters, right. Keep going. Right, okay. We're ushering in a new tradition in the spirit of what Albert Murray called our ceremonial objective. Jazz at Lincoln Center has created the Ashley Schiff Ramos Award for Community Development in Jazz. Each year, we're going to honor an extraordinary person who uses our music to lift and engage people for the purpose of bringing communities together. The inaugural recipient of this award is Ashley Schiff Ramos herself, and she is the very definition of this award, and she is also an unsung hero of our institution. In the spring of 2002, Ashley initiated, planned, and produced a spring benefit that changed the profile of our organization. Acting on her desire to see greater integration in the New York cultural community, she took us uptown to the famed Apollo Theater and galvanized a new, young, and diverse group around our music. Whoopi Goldberg hosted that first year. She was joined by a dazzling array of guest artists, including Vanessa Williams, Savion Glover, and Stevie Wonder. In the years that followed, we welcomed Ray Charles, Audra McDonald, Jimmy Buffett, Eric Clapton, Bob Dylan, B.B. King, Willie Nelson, John Legend, Paul Simon, and so many others who gave of their time because Ashley stayed on them and she stayed on me. Ashley's galas were soulful, down-home, and elegant. She was relentless in ensuring that everything was the best it could possibly be. She was coaching us tonight. Soaked in her personal brand of hospitality, a wonderfully diverse and eager audience was entertained, inspired, and energized. Though by far our youngest board member, what she accomplished was unprecedented and nothing less than astonishing. Each year, henceforth, we will celebrate her efforts by honoring dedicated people doing extraordinary things in the uplift of the human spirit. Please join all of us in congratulating Ashley Schiff Ramos in receiving the first annual Ashley Schiff Ramos Award for Community Development in Jazz. Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this amazing honor. I am here tonight because you, Winton, Hugh Fierce, and my mother, Chairman Emeritus Lisa Schiff, believed in a naive but headstrong, very headstrong, 25-year-old with a vision of how to bring jazz to a larger, younger, and more diverse audience. And with you all behind me, everything was possible. I got to know the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra while visiting Argentina and thought this is the greatest group of musicians, and I wanted to help create excitement around them and their music. And of course, I love to throw parties. It was easy to get a young group of people rallied behind this music we all loved and felt was important. When planning the first gala, I fully expected that any musician would be thrilled to play with Winton for free, no matter what music they called their own. And they were. Admittedly, there were complications that seem very funny in retrospect, but were a bit uncomfortable at the time. 2 days before the first gala, Winton had still not written the 15-minute Petite Suite for Savion Glover. There was Savion Glover sitting in Winton's living room with tap shoes on his hands. What are you thinking about writing for me? And me in the kitchen thinking disaster. Well, in 48 hours, they turned out a masterpiece, and it ended up bringing the house down. Many of you were there. The third year, Bob Dylan had sent us his song selections, and due to his schedule, was unable to rehearse until the day of the gala. He walked in, looked at Winton's septet, and suggested 2 totally different songs, but both very famous. There was dead silence. Then he suggested another very well-known song. Again, silence. I had to quietly walk over to his manager to explain that these jazz musicians weren't so familiar with Mr. Dylan's repertoire, except possibly for the 2 songs that they had just arranged and learned the day before. There was some surprise, but Bob Dylan ended up having a great time with us, and he said it made him hear his music in a new way, and a good one. When I look back on those galas, what I remember most are the people from all zip codes, ages, races, pouring into that tent in the playground behind the Apollo, just excited to be there. I feel blessed to have been a part of something that became very important. In all the years of producing shows, I always heard about performers who were difficult. Admittedly, I had to call Stevie Wonder's management every hour for 36 hours straight to finally get permission to put his name on the invitation. And it took me a year of calls to get Jimmy Buffett's person to call me back. But when he did, it all worked out, and he's my husband. But once musicians landed in rehearsal, I always knew the love fest would begin. What I think says the most about our band is that every guest we hosted was easy to work with because of the respect and awe they had for our musicians. I want to thank the JLCO, behind the curtain, who put their faith in me and always showed up on time, sometimes even early. Yes, Carlos and Ali, I know you can't hear me, but I do remember the one time you were early. I guess they can hear. To make any of these shows happen takes a large number of people. Backstage tonight, there's a crew of hugely talented people, too many to name, who I worked with and who contributed to the success of every evening I produced. I would like to mention one person, former development director Brett Silver, who is here tonight. He worked tirelessly with me on all aspects of the events, and we would try to outdo each other as to who could save the most money. I think I won when I personally hand-wrote 900 place cards. And now, finally, what can I say about Winton? Working and, yes, fighting with him has been the most incredible learning experience of my life. His artistic brilliance makes great things happen, and I am proud to call him one of my closest friends. I was lucky to come into Jazz at Lincoln Center at a time when there was a lot of space for new ideas. I look forward to jazz continuing to grow while keeping true to its motto of welcome. Thank you so much.
Now, please welcome Miss Diane Reeves.
While the whole town is sleeping, I find myself keeping a rendezvous with haunting all the old places. I ask the same faces for any news. Oh, it's the same old blues. Someday, somewhere I'll find you, but I'll keep searching till then, knowing that when I find you, I'll start living again. So to bed now, though my vigil is ending, I'll still keep pretending I'm with you the rest of my days, for I'll keep loving you after hours and always. I'll keep loving you after hours and always. Someday, some way I'll find you, but I'll keep searching till then, knowing that when I find you, I'll start living again. So to bed now. Now my vigil is ended. I'll still keep pretending I'm with you the rest of my days, for I'll keep loving you after hours and always. I'll keep loving you after hours and always. For days and hours and always.
Diane, and our great orchestra. How about a hand for our orchestra, too? I'm very excited because I was just informed backstage that I'm given an award in my name tonight. This is unbelievable. The Billy Crystal Award, and I want to thank everybody for giving me the Billy Crystal Award. It's pretty amazing. I'm moved. Oh, you're just figuring out what I'm talking about? Okay. Oh, look at this. Now we're going to have a little bit of the Spanish tinge, because Jello Morton said you can't have jazz without having a little Spanish tinge. And Dizzy Gillespie agreed, and he created the innovative style called Cubop with Cuban conjero chano pozzo. The thing about congas, you ever notice that when conga players play, they always look to the left when they play? Have you ever seen a conga player look to the right? Never. It's always to the left. You know what else is that? Like when dogs hump each other, it's to the left. And they get that look in their eye. They're not focusing on anything. What are they looking at? They're looking at that conga player across the street who's looking back at them because they're both looking to the left. This is called stretch. That's why I won the award in my name. Who wants to buy the Clippers? Anybody? Let me start the bidding with $550 million. Anyone have $550 million? Do I hear $550 million? Okay. In the early 1950s, does anyone really believe Phil Jackson's going to help them? Do you really believe that? I'd like to believe that, because I live in LA most of the time. My heart's still in New York. I still love the Knicks. The Clippers are my team. I'm racing home to watch them tonight after. But is Phil Jackson really going to help them? He should coach. Wouldn't you rather have him coach than be in the front office? That's what I think. Anyway, in the 1950s, the Cuban genius of the bass. I was going to say the bass, but that's not. It says bass, but it looks like bass. And how can he be like this expert on a fish? I'm the expert in bass. Israel Cachao Lopez made the wonder of the mambo, a pop music staple here in the United States. How many of your parents took mambo lessons like at Grossinger's? Am I right? Okay. We're going to take mambo lessons, dear. There's a competition. I'm going to have the veal chop. The 9-pound one. And just pour all the gribness you have over it. And remember, never trust gribness that comes from a moil. Now, with us tonight, I'm just figuring out how many Jews are actually in the audience. With us tonight is a contemporary genius from the soil of Cuba, an incredible percussionist. He made his TV debut when he was 7 years old. When I was 7, I couldn't even turn on the TV. And he's played with everybody from Ruben Blades to Santana. You're going to love this guy. He's an amazing conjero and singer, Pedrito Martinez, along with Bobby Allende. And they're going to play Osvaldo Estival's A Gozar Tembero. Diana, I'll be back.
What is the mission of Jazz at Lincoln Center? Well, I would say it's to entertain and to teach, to enrich and expand a global community for jazz. This season, we've showcased a variety of talent, like Ahmad Jamal. How about Ahmad Jamal? Bobby McFerrin, guitar icon Bill Frisell, Cecile McLaurin Salvant, Catherine Russell, George Wein, and Hugh Masekela, who looks younger than 75. I think he's lying. And we celebrated this year the legacy and the music of Dave Brubeck. And we sadly lost too quickly Mulgrew Miller. The Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra concluded a tour of 70 cities this year. Let's have a big hand for them. By the end of this year, our more than 2,600 events and programs will touch over 125,000 people and inspire them to develop a further relationship with jazz. Who would have thought? You can punch in Jazz Academy videos. Bam! You get a video of a trumpet player you've heard about. Now you see him. When I think about something like that in terms of education, that a kid in Missouri can watch hundreds of instructional jazz videos. A portal in the palm of your hand. Jazz, if it is viewed, heard, felt, it will inspire. And for me, just as a listener, it is life. We create opportunities for artists at every level. Jazz at Lincoln Center is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's there. And so the exposure for these musicians is now greater thanks to Jazz at Lincoln Center. God bless them. Thanks to the generous support of corporations, foundations, government agencies, and individuals. Your support keeps us moving forward, and we thank all of these people. My name is Bill Cosby, and I approve this message. Thank you. Thank you. I had a speech, a 2-minute speech all set up. But then I was in the balcony and they played Things to Come with Faddis and Winton. And I don't know why Winton decided to do that. I mean, I'm sorry. It was announced that there was a contest of the two going at each other. One attacked, and the other hoped that the attacker would just have a heart attack. Because I don't know what Winton was thinking. See, John Faddis, you don't mess with John Faddis, especially since John is the only human being on this earth who came into and onto this earth through a man's body. Dizzy Gillespie gave birth to John Faddis. And John has his own mind. You cannot think like John Faddis. But to have the nerve, Winton, to have the nerve with Winton, with all his brilliance, who needs, if you're Winton Marsalis, to stand there and have somebody announce you're going to have a fight, a battle of the horns, with a man who, I don't know what kind of medication John Faddis is on, but it looks like it's something to keep the veins from bursting. You can't do that without your brains bursting and have a stroke. And maybe that's what our leader wanted. Maybe Winton gave him enough rope so that he would hit these high notes and just fall out. And then Winton would put his horn to his mouth and play. But I do know that you all saw something tonight you will never see again, because nobody who knows Winton will ever let him stand beside John Faddis again, unless it's a ballad, Love for Sale, or something like that, with brushes and muted. Do you understand me? You saw it here tonight. John Faddis did not play fair. John could have accompanied the man who is the leader here. No, he tried to take his job from him. But he's not going to get the job playing all those high notes. And I just saw John Faddis backstage. I want all of you to know that he had 3 doctors. No. And 3 sports people. You know, the ones who work on football players. He had a hernia on the left side, and the other one had joined that one. That's how hard he tried to kill Winton tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please understand that I am here to tell you that the money is needed, the fun is enjoyed, but this is not your local nightclub, as you can see. And you need to bring more people with you. Bring people with you, but don't bring ADD or ADHD people, because they talk through everything. And we hate to put them out. Thank you for having me. I'm going to go back and see if I can find Winton and punch him for doing what he did to my friend. You don't do that to Winton. And I'm going to tell Winton that. Is there someone here who will lead me into the darkness?
All right. You ready?
Are you Winton?
Yes. No, I'm not him.
Bill Cosby. Still the greatest. You know, he's still the greatest. Pretty amazing man. You know, there's always been this sort of mysterious kind of jazz grapevine. Like, it started years and years and years and years ago. You heard somebody was really good and he was playing in LA, and it took like 8 months for you to hear him here, and that's when we had records. And you'd play a record and you'd wait 6 months to buy. But now with the internet, that's all gone. Now you can see somebody instantly on the web. And this young man I'm going to introduce to you is like tearing up the web. He's here from Jakarta, Indonesia. He's 10 years old. Get ready for this young man. And he's going to play one of the more difficult pieces to play. Thelonious Monk and Cootie Williams, Around Midnight. Everyone watches him. And when the band watches him, they just go like this. Please welcome a really inspirational young man, incredible talent, Joey Alexander. Don't go, Joey, don't go. Joey, don't go. Take it in, man, take it in. Come back out, come back out. Joey Alexander. Hey, Joey, check this out. Joey. The orchestra's standing for you. Wow. Wow. It's amazing. And that's all with the color method. It's astounding. Those lessons actually work. Wow. Isn't that amazing? It's just amazing. And you know what? He played it, I've heard him play it 3 times, right, guys? And every time it's different. And every time you guys are doing this, and tonight you did a lot of whoa. Yeah, whoa, right? And it like makes you feel good because it's a true genius. He didn't just like memorize a thing that he heard. He interprets it differently every time he plays it. Blows me away. Joey Alexander, 10 years old. Wow. I'm thinking steroids, right? It's got to be steroids, something. We should test them. Should we test them? Wow. Well, tonight we have traveled around the globe. We've come from New Orleans to Kansas City to Paris, Hollywood, and a little stop in Jakarta. Pretty amazing kid. I mean, it just, wow, it kills me. And with each stop along the way, it becomes very clear to all of us. I mean, you listen to it tonight, all different kinds of music. It continues to produce and inspire great artists of all generations and idioms, and in the spirit of celebrating tradition and acknowledging the great continuum, Wynton must have written this, of which we are all an important part of. We've got one more fantastic guest coming out. Welcome to the House of Swing, the song we used to march into this hall on our opening day 10 years ago. Now here's the latest New Orleans piano king, Jonathan Batiste, to play the first part of that. Where are you, John? Now he's 12 years old. Hit it, John. Thanks, everybody. Bob Appel, Wynton for having me. Thanks, man. Great Bill Cosby.